Hello and welcome to the Heads and Volleys podcast with me, Lee Dunn. This episode features a very good friend of mine. His name is Alastair Feasey. He is an active coach. He and I go way back. We started out together as summer camp coaches working for Challenger Sports and traveled all around together. We have multiple experiences. I was actually his manager for a little while when I was leading his programming. And he's now working for a club in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. So he and I have crossed paths a couple times recently, and I wanted to bring him on because he is the epitome of what it is to be a professional coach in the US. He works his socks off, he has multiple roles, he has multiple teams, he's accountable for so many things that you just don't even think about. And I thought it was really important to bring him on and introduce what he does and what his life is like as this full-time coach, because many people may be doing it for a part-time gig or maybe considering what it would be like as a full-time. And I think it's really important to hear what he has to say, and the stuff that he's doing within his club and within his own pathway, I think you'll find super valuable, as I do, as I continue to pay attention to what he's doing and encourage him to share all of that material with me too. So listen up, here comes Alastair Feasey.
My name's Alastair. I've been coaching for around 9 to 10 years now. Started off just coaching disabled soccer when I got into it, really. It was just quite crazy. And then went to university, got a degree, got my UEFA B through that, which I'm quite proud of. It's really enjoyable. And then when started doing some summer camps with Challenger in the summer, 10-week, and then 3 months, 6 months, and then that's when I met Lee. And then now I'm working for 24/7 UK Soccer Academy in the Bay Area. The U9 to U12 technical director in Piedmont Soccer Club, which is based in Oakland. And I've been with that club for about three to 3.5 years. I really enjoyed it.
Do you still work out on summer camps too?
Yeah, so throughout the summer, so I'll give you kind of an annual plan what we do. So we have the full season from mid-August all the way through to middle of December, which we'll do tournaments, state cup with our teams as well. And then we'll have a winter break, which we'll do futsal over that break from middle of December to middle of February probably. Okay. And then we'll go all the way through spring with our spring teams, mid-March to end of May when tryouts. And then we have summer camps from June all the way through to the start of fall, really, which is through 24/7, fun camps, team camps as well.
And I think I think you're very much like me, having come through that pathway. You've learned a whole lot, spending 8 hours a day on the field with kids, right?
Yeah. You don't get much breaks, but it's end of the day, you're out in California.
So you grew up in the UK, your boyhood club is Tottenham?
Yeah, Tottenham, through and through. Actually went to Madrid to watch I didn't watch the game, but I went there with the fans. It was an unbelievable experience.
That's, I know right now with the Women's World Cup, we out of San Francisco have just sent a couple of groups over to go and watch games and just go and be in Paris while there's games going on and just experience this culture. And I know that's something we'll get into, but that's so important, right? For people just to see what it's like outside of the US or outside of their community. And I think both of us will probably agree that a lot of the kids that we coach are still part-time players. And it's fair, they have other interests, but they don't quite grasp what soccer means to the majority of the world.
Yeah, I tell my parents I'm up at 4:30 a.m. watching the Premier League, whether it's my own team or other teams, but it's so hard to push that to kids for them to watch it. Kids got crazy schedules these days. I don't even, it's crazy. Trying to create that culture. That's one thing we've been trying to do in our club, trying to create a good culture. We've had like the Fantasy Premier League kind of competitions in our club, which is good because a lot of kids get on it and they can do it with their friends.
Oh, that's what you just do it on the app, right? Just doing it on your phone, yeah.
Yeah, you do it on the app. yeah, it's good fun.
Do you do
Yeah, that's half the battle. What you said.
do you do anything else? Like, you ever guys ever do any sort of watch parties or anything like that? Encourage your teams to get together and watch games?
We do sometimes, yeah. Mainly when we get a lot of rain out sometimes throughout the spring.
Yeah.
So if we get some games recorded, we'll go around the house and things like that. But with the World Cup, it's tough in the summer. In our club, a lot of people, the culture is everyone kind of goes away for the summer, and you can't really try and get all that together.
Yeah, and that's, I think, something we experience in San Francisco too. People tend to get out of town, and it's really difficult. I mean, my advice a lot of the time is take a ball with you. At least just take a ball with you. If you're on a beach, if you're in some city, you'll always find someone to play with, or you can always play on your own. That's part of what I think is just become familiar with the ball at your feet. That is almost creating that culture, right? Become familiar. And I was out just the other day and I saw a family and one of the kids had a ball at their feet, and it was unusual to see that, and that I think is frustrating for us as professionals when we want everyone to have a ball at their feet.
Oh, certainly, yeah. No, I love seeing that as well. When you see kids out with a ball, I always ask for a little touch and myself. You just want to play, don't you?
Yes, lay it off, give and go.
Can't help being a kid again. Yeah.
Let's kind of work through who you are as an individual, and then kind of move into what your role is within the club and how you are influencing it. So kind of starting with who you are and your years of experience from the disabled soccer, moving through UEFA B and then into kind of coaching and this full-time lifestyle. How has that begun to shape kind of who you are, like the changes in your own philosophy and your own focus and what you believe to be important in certain ages? Kind of what's that pathway been like for you? You still see it shaping you as you move now? Kind of where are you at?
Kind of when I started, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest. It was my brother's got Down syndrome, so he's disabled, and I went down to the local kind of clinic he used to go to. It helped out. I really enjoyed it, and at that age, I was like 16, 14. Like, what do I want to do? I haven't got a clue, have you?
No.
So literally, my mum was just like, "Why don't you just type in football on a university course?" And then something popped up in South Wales in Cardiff, 2-year degree. I was like, okay, yeah, jump on that. Got the level 2, and then went through and got my UEFA B from the top up. So that was a fantastic course. My lecturer, Dave Adams, he's one of the pro license educators now. He was fantastic. He was really inspiring, and the course was great. Learned a lot of modules, performance analysis, sports coaching. We'd have a 3-hour practical, just football on the field. It was more kind of towards me. I've always struggled with exams and things like that, so more the practical side helped me a lot, kind of hands-on experience. And then through kind of in university, we got placed in schools and clubs. We kind of shadow a Cardiff Academy coach, which was really insightful. Through schools, kind of as a development officer, which gained a lot of hours through that, which was great. And obviously in the summer, as I mentioned, I did summer camps, which I think started off as a young coach. You need to get as many hours as you can, no matter what situation you're putting in. I remember my first ever camp was on the East Coast, and it was 19 kids I had on my own from like 9 to 12 ages. It was just kind of, deep end, deal with it, but just got to get on with it, and it kind of shapes you as a coach, really.
So what are some of the biggest takeaways from, I guess, back in the beginning of like your instructor or your lecturer, Dave? What do you take away from him? Do you still carry some of the stuff you learned from him? What do you take away when you work with someone like that?
Just very, very, very professional in anything he did. The small details were excellent. He'd always, first kind of thing he said, I always remember it was, this will change the way you watch the game. You won't watch a normal game now. You can't,
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's going to ruin you as a fan, but the way you're going to watch a game is going to be completely different. How a player touches the ball differently, things like that. Just his vast experience as well. It was amazing. to see. But yeah, he was terrific. I think he was assistant to Gary Monk at Middlesbrough, which was pretty cool to see, to be honest. Your lecturer just, on the sideline.
It's interesting that you mentioned professionalism, and I know from us having worked together, that's something that you definitely carry, and something I it stresses me out to an extent to be as professional as I can. And I think that's one thing that begins to upset me when you start going to tournaments, or you start traveling around the area and playing against people who are not professional and have no care for the professionalism that we're trying to bring into the game, and that becomes really frustrating to see.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's tough to see because, like what you said on the sidelines, I feel it's more uneducated people rather than lacking professionalism. I think, just uneducated and kind of what they want to portray to their kids.
Yeah, and
winning over.
I agree with that. So then, coming from this summer camp background, knowing what that environment is like, where I had girls turning up in summer dresses and flip flops and kids in jeans, and that real kind of culture of summer camp is something that was brand new to me in the US. Growing up in the UK, our summer camp was playing at the park with our mates, and so that to me is really kind of underpinned for me, especially this development philosophy of kind of understanding that these kids aren't there to win, they're there to have a great time. And I imagine that's something that has probably weighed on you too. So kind of the age-old question of winning versus development, where do you say you're at on that, and kind of how your experience has begun to shape your feelings on that?
I mean, yeah, like you said, obviously coming from a summer camp background, it was hard because, like you said, they were there for fun. But going into a club environment, I'm a massive believer of development over winning, and I feel the biggest problem with this is parents for one, and then how kind of the coach portrays it to the parents. So it can be like if a coach is more winning over development, then obviously the parents are going to be as well. Kind of the coach almost portrays what the parents are their audience, you can see that. But yeah, don't get me wrong, you want to be always winning because this is the culture over here, they want to win, but you can't be stressing it too much.
Well, the sad thing is, if you're saying that you're developing when you're not winning, your players are instantly going to go somewhere else, right? They'll go and find someone else who is winning. And again, it's that parent culture. They tend to control a lot of it. Let's start with your personal pathway. Where do you see yourself moving with this? So with UEFA B, I know you do a lot of the licenses that are on offer, or the classes on offer here with NorCal Premier. Where do you see this going for you in the long term? Do you have an idea, or are you rolling with the punches and taking each day as it comes?
I'm a big believer of always, keeping your doors open, things like that. I want to do as many licenses as I can. I feel the way USSF do it over here is kind of, they hold you back a little bit. You've got to do a year wait. I feel if you're ready, you should be able to jump on it. I've just completed my C license, and I'm actually this weekend off to Boston to do my Premier, which I just like doing courses. It's something I really enjoy, just connecting with other people, finding out about their philosophies, about how they coach. Just always wanting to learn anything. I'll jump on completely anything. I've just completed not completed. Finishing off the NorCal Level 1, which is quite a basic course, but it's really good. So, if you want to start off, it's a free course, really good for anyone who's just starting off coaching. What's
one of your, well, and I will start by saying that this is a constant theme for anyone I interview for this podcast, or anyone I talk to, that it's the same theme, that you find yourself in an environment like that, some of the true value is the people that you meet and the people that you talk to, and the ideas that you pull from other people, or just the challenge that you have of your own philosophy and way of doing things. I think it's so valuable. And for anyone who's listened to some of the other episodes, hopefully you begin to see the trend in the value that these classes can offer. So what's one of your biggest takeaways from this local regional course, the NorCal Premier Level 1?
I think just kind of finding out about everyone's how they do things in their club. Completely different. You see a lot of clubs say, "Oh yeah, we've got a style of play," but you don't really see it. You don't see clubs implement it. You see just we've just got a style of play really, but it's kind of how do each club now they're trying to implement it and see this is our vision, this is our identity. Certainly that. And just kind of how they've broken down the 77 game, which was really interesting. More of a tactical with obviously more emphasis on technical approach. You can see they've studied a lot, and I think they want to kind of put this into NorCal as a whole, which I'd really recommend for anyone to do it.
And
I think it could be a big course coming on.
That's a really interesting shift, and I think NorCal do a great job of that, because it's a case of bringing everybody together as opposed to creating islands of clubs that begin to fight against each other. And I know from my experience within the league that it is that more open approach, right? It's a collective. We're here for a bigger purpose, and it's not just about my team beating your team, but it's actually about how we as a group of people have a responsibility to develop these players. So when you're 9s through 12s, what's some of the biggest focuses that you bring in, some of the biggest kind of attentions to detail that you implement?
I'm massive on kind of building a culture. I mean, I've just taken on last year I did like U9 boys, and I'm doing we've got three teams in that age group. So I'm doing the second team now as well. And I'm huge on building a culture where it's kind of like not so tagged, oh yeah, I'm on the top team, we're the best players. It's kind of like, we're all here, all one, we're all in the same club. Build a good positive culture for players to enjoy where they develop, and then focus on how we develop from there. That's my first thing really. Kind of ensuring that all parents are involved in it, it's not just a tag, I'm on the top team kind of thing. It's everyone's for everyone. We're all working hard together.
Under your program, you have, I assume, paid coaches and volunteer coaches, or is everybody paid?
Yeah. So it's professionally led coaches, so head coaches, and then we do have volunteer assistants.
Okay.
Which would be a parent. Yeah.
And then how does that? How do you, well, let's start with how you engage and how you kind of communicate with those coaches and get everybody on the same page and moving in the same direction.
So obviously we start off with a team meeting, start of the season, making sure everyone's got the expectations set, and parents, any questions, we sort all that out. With regarding with the volunteer coach, I'm quite close with all three of my volunteer coaches, my three teams. Make sure they're kind of on almost every email I send out to parents, even if it's just tagged on one, so they know what's going on. We'll meet for coffee now and then just to discuss what we want to do going forward, anything they want to say. I like getting them involved as much as I can, to be honest, because it's a community-based club and parents enjoy being involved. The more investment you get from the parents, the more the team is going to have a good culture and a positive culture going forward. I mean, I let my assistant do warm-ups on game days and things like that. Sometimes he'll do a warm-up at the practice. He enjoys it. Gives me a little bit of a chance to step back and just watch the boys, which I think is important for the head coach as well.
And that is that a model that you implement across all of the teams that you oversee as the director, as well as the teams that you're directly involved in?
So yeah, that's all across our club. With the U8 Academy, we have one professional head coach, and then we'll have about 4, depending on how many kids we have, 4 to 5 parent volunteer coaches, which essentially the professional head coach will set up the session, and then it will kind of run itself in a way.
Here's a one for you. How do you pick up, or how do you recruit these parent volunteers? Are they just people that have expressed an interest, or is it someone that you may have kind of scouted from a U6 team and thought they'd be a good person to have? How does it work?
Mainly just, we get a lot of parents who come forward. So I think more willing parents are certainly ones which are going to give more. And then, whatever we've done with the U6s, I know a lot of people will put names forward and things like that, which helps us a lot, just knowing they've had that experience.
And then do you offer them any sort of formal training? Is it like a club education program that you offer them? How do you kind of get them up to speed? I know you communicate a lot with them, but is there an expectation on licensing or experience like that?
So not necessarily. We do ask everyone to have their, they don't have F anymore, do they?
It's all the grassroots
previously now. Everyone had their F license to the online one,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have to do the 4v4 and the 77.
Okay.
USSF ones. We ask them to do those. And then also we do a positive coaching alliance training. Everyone has to do that if you're a coach. And then we're also so it'll be my job to go out to sessions and get around and help out coaches there. And also we set up a clinic once every season where the coaches have to come down. They grab their polo and then we put on a load of sessions for their age groups. They play, they jump in, they learn. Because it's really an open environment. It's enjoyable as well.
Well,
yeah, it's really enjoyable.
You put that effort in and the reward comes throughout the season, right? It's a long day or it's a lot of work to plan and to execute, but the long-term reward is that you've got people that have now brought into your club and have brought into your way of doing things, which it saves you a lot of grief later on when you've got a wild parent or a wild coach who is leading all the parents astray because they're focusing on the wrong things.
Oh yeah, certainly. Certainly.
So you guys have a pathway? Do you kind of connect with older ages? Is there almost like a promotion, I guess, within the club that you say, this is what we're looking to get your players to, this is where we want to get you? Or is it like you're involved in the club and we love you, thanks very much?
So we've actually the 24/7 company I work for, our umbrella is 4 clubs, but 3 which are under the same progressive umbrella, which is, so basically you come in at U6 or U4, kind of a rec led by parents. We're trying to get in professional coaching down that age, and then U8 Academy, which is professionally coached. That'll be your first age where you'll have a professional coach, and then you progress into your competitive side, so U9, U10, U11, U12, which is what I oversee. And then what we've just introduced this last year, we just had the first tryouts in May, is ASC, so Academy Football Club, where all players from Piedmont, Montclair, Castro Valley all come under the same umbrella, U13, so Lemby 11 onwards, where we're looking to have top teams, MPL standard, Premier, and then every player in the club's playing at the right standard then. Basically, we found that a lot of players would leave and go to other local clubs in the areas.
Yeah.
So we wanted to ensure that we're keeping our top players.
And there's I guess a consistent theme across the 3 clubs in partnership, that there's same expectations or outcomes or objectives for every player in every age group.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we have the same curriculums across all 3 clubs. So then we're looking to, once we get the same players up to ASC, everyone should be doing this, and this kind of thing. And that's kind of the expectations of the coach and obviously the player. You should have. It's a good progression for players to see when they're just moving forward, I guess. It's something which I think we kind of have at home where, once you've gone through your clubs, you go play for the men's team, which I don't think you have over here. We'd have over here as much, which is, I think it's certainly started to change.
Starting to see more at that adult level, like I mean, even from in the area now, we have some of the USL2 league teams and definitely starting to build. And I think some of the really good clubs have those pathways identified. And then even you look at things like College Connection too, where players can see a pathway into a local college team, or if they have local kids that are playing within those high school and college teams, that you create role models out of them, right? You begin to use those players as a target for your younger players especially. So on the ground, you've got a focus. Of course, your focus is the 9s through 12s, and I think you feel strongly about that kind of being the future of any organization.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, even younger than that, I feel you've got to get in as early as you can. You see a lot of clubs kind of more focusing on, their first focus is on keeping their best teams, keeping the older teams, and that's not the case. You've got to start from the bottom and build it up. That's what we've been doing in Piedmont. Create
like a base of players that can play and that love the game.
Yeah.
And if you do, I guess the theory is if you do a good job, then they have no reason to leave. And they have every interest in staying because they've had a great experience and they love what they do. So the benefit for you is that you've got better players playing the better game later on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, getting in even as young as U6, just kind of doing little play dates, things like that. It's, like you said, making sure the kids love the game. That's the first thing you want to be doing, making sure they're coming back.
So then, I guess one of my kind of wrap-up questions would really be the volunteer base that you engage with. Do they have, if they have any experience, or even if they don't have an experience, do they have an opportunity to input? Do they have an opportunity, or do you even have an input because you're working within a bigger organization, an opportunity to input your thoughts or your kind of preferences and your experience into shaping curriculum and shaping experience for families and for players?
So with curriculums, it's kind of, it's in my role to create one for U9, U10 and then U11, U12.
Yep.
Regarding do you mean kind of the recreational side as well?
Yeah, I mean even any side of it really, where you've got multiple people coming in and working, that it's your way or the highway, or do they give you input and feedback and opinion, or is it kind of this is what we're doing, and if you don't like it, we'll replace you?
Yeah, so volunteers mainly, there'll be kind of players on the team, parents, so they'll kind of we got the buy-in with them already, to be honest. With some of the professional coaches, that's what we're struggling with right now, is obviously having everyone on the same page. You get a lot of kind of egotistical coaches where, it's, I don't really want to do that, I want to do this kind of thing, and it's like, I think that's the real struggle with the coaches, that you kind of got them on board in some way, but we kind of, it's a struggle. I'm guessing you get to have the same at SF Elite.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a consistent focus of how you have this buy-in, that you have an understanding and a way of wanting to do things, and you have your own version of a game model that you would like to see, and your own beliefs, and then other people see it differently. And I think that's the beauty of the game, but then also that makes it difficult for anybody in a position like yourself, where you are living and breathing your own philosophy, but then you're also trying to encourage other people to buy into it also.
Yeah, I mean, we have coach in the season. We have coach meetings once a month with the DOC and all the coaches, where we're still trying to implement our style, implement everything. So everyone's kind of having that empowerment where they're involved in it, which I think is great, because then, like you said, you're going to get the buy-in more than.
It's killer if you don't have the buy-in. I think that's where it begins to fall apart.
With the rec, it's kind of just create curriculums for more activity-based, where I just kind of do the kind of play, practice, play stuff, really. Just get more playing out of them. I think that helps us out more kids playing, rather than, the kind of bus lines you see.
Do you have professional coaches in that recreational program too?
We do, yeah. It's the last. Actually, I had it for 2 years in the full season, where we're going to have kind of coaches go into the sessions and run the sessions, and have like U9, U10 rec clinics and things like that. Which is going to be great going forward.
Yeah, of course.
Certainly helps spot players which should be playing competitively as well.
Do you ever face any pushback from that jump from recreational to competitive travel soccer, where a coach may have a solid recreational team and is winning the division every year, and then suddenly his best player is scalped and is offered a place to come and play on your team? Do you ever get any sort of pushback on that, or have you set expectations early on in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, you do get that, but that's part of kind of my job and the kind of head coaches in that age group to go out and kind of have a look and talk to the coach and get them on board and what we're trying to achieve at the club and everything like that. I mean, there's obviously going to be coaches like that. I've heard many stories about it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if a player wants to improve, they've got to take that step up.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, like you said, it's that uneducated coach or someone who is in it for the wrong reasons, that maybe hasn't been on a coaching course or maybe hasn't opened their mind to the bigger picture and is focused on that winning versus development, because that's important for them to be the champion.
Yeah.
And I think for all the work that we do at the top level, where we challenge ourselves to be educated and to be open and to engage with people, that all of that hard work can instantly be undone by the people below that we don't necessarily pay attention to. And maybe that's where a lot of clubs fall short, is all of that focus, as you said, kind of is on the best players and the best teams, and putting on their social media that they've won State Cup again, or they've won another tournament, or they've won the league, when what they're actually doing is turning their pyramid upside down. So the focus is solely on the top and not on the bottom, and that's where a lot of clubs will struggle.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of trying to focus on now. We've noticed that a lot of teams, there's just kind of a gap. There's a big gap, and the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger between the development side of the kids. And we noticed kind of we'd always, ask teams to do evaluations on the whole team, evaluations on individual players, and it was my kind of job to study the kind of team evaluation and what players were lacking. And we found that it was kind of 1v1 ability. So then my last year has kind of really been focused on how can we develop this better, how can we kind of, improve that in our club. And I actually came up with a little tool which I'm willing to share. It's kind of a skill card where players from U8 to U9, U10, we want them to become comfortable in 1v1 situations. So they've got to master all the moves, whatever ones they want to master. But we've made a set where about, I think it's 10 moves on a card, and each player, once they perform the move past the player, they earn a sticker. It has to be done in a game. It has to be done. You've got to be harsh on it. It has to be done in the game, past the player, and successful. And we've seen kind of just players, even without a card now, and just really trying to implement their moves, do Maradona, just be creative and have fun with it. And it's been enjoyable doing that little project.
And that all came from just reading the feedback and reading the coaches' experience and opinions on their teams and on their players.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of clubs around our areas, you just see their 1v1 ability was just way above ours. And kind of when I did the U8 Academy 2 years ago, and I kind of made sure I didn't do anything. I don't know if you saw how the Belgian curriculum was. They didn't do anything more than 2v2, and that was kind of their games in the end. And just maximise the touches on the ball, all different situations from 1v1. I actually went to Exeter Academy and studied them over Christmas just to grab some stuff from them. They had a cool little 1v1 program, which was, they had 3 1v1s. The first one would be secure versus win, so it's dependent on a defender and an attacker. So secure versus win, so obviously the attacker would be win. Dominate versus delay. obviously dominate, D for the attacker, delay for the defender, and then create versus prevent. So that really quite eye-opening to me, and I've kind of based U9, U10 curriculum around. 1v1s are so much fun.
Well, it is, right? You can create. The ball is starting in different places. You have pressure from behind, from the front. You have time limits. You have all sorts of impetus in creating it to be so realistic, and you just replicate that across a group of players, and everybody gets the reps. That's something that I think is key, right? They get to do it over and over and over and over again. So then, where you pull this material. So, like you say, you went to Exeter and saw them over Christmas. Where else do you get your material? Where else do you you clearly have this growth mindset, and that was something I noted when we worked together on the field years ago. Was just this enthusiasm for more, and that's why I wanted to bring you on here to just kind of pick like your brain on what you're doing and what you're seeing from your side of the water, and really kind of where do you go to? Are there certain people that you reach out to? Are there things that you read? Are there kind of avenues of education that you're reaching out to more than others, and where you're really shaping your own philosophy? And then that has a knock-on effect too, because you're now writing a curriculum and impacting probably a couple of hundred players and coaches and parents. That where do you get this from? Where do you trust it from? Kind of what's your approach in that regard?
I use Twitter a lot. That's been a massive tool for me. As you know, I share some sessions on there as well. So yeah, I use Twitter a lot. I contact a lot of coaches. I've talked to a lot of coaches, direct messaging. It's hard to go home and kind of do some academy visits, because obviously when I'm going home it's Christmas time, so it's their break really.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm trying to reach out to a lot more academies, just to kind of see what everyone's doing. Is everyone on the same page? How are people different? And I just love seeing new ways, new ideas. Really, it's really, I'm really passionate about that.
And
it's a shame I can't. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and it's not closed. A lot of people may have this fear that people will keep their books closed and they don't want to share, but that's quite the opposite, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah. No, it's not closed. It's so open. I'll happily share anything with anyone.
So you're on Twitter. Your handle on Twitter is at AF Coach Soccer. Definitely give you a follow.
AF Coach Soccer.
You said about sharing. You and I both use Tactical Pad. Tactical Pad is the sponsor for this podcast, especially. A little plug for them. How do you like using their material? Do you share that with your coaches as well as kind of your social media following?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. I love Tactical Pad. I actually show a lot of kind of our players what we want to do in that possession of the ball. That when we're building out, we'll do little videos and how we want to create crosses, how we want to make runs into the box, simple things like that. I mean, visuals are great for kids. Everyone learns different, so if you can hit all of them, Tactical Pad's a fantastic tool for that.
Agreed, completely agreed. And thank you, Tactical Pad, for your sponsorship too, because that really, it just, you're right, you get kids on the same page, you get kids moving in kind of copying what that pattern is. And all of my kids have a phone, so it's easy enough to have a group text message with them, and I send it to them and just say, look at what we're going to be working on tonight, or look at our focus for the game this coming weekend. Can we replicate these moments? And I think that's super key. And
yeah, definitely.
I think if you're not just a fossil coach and just stuck on practice is going to be a different experience every single time, because I need to do a new practice every time, and kids never really know what they're coming in for, and there's no consistency and there's no clarity in what they're doing. I think that's where we may begin to lose players. But if you can be progressive and get to kids on their level, and Tactical Pad is one of those ways of doing it, where you're using technology and you're encouraging your kids to use technology for a positive, I think you just can't beat it. If you can share things with them that's on their level. I don't think kids necessarily want to sit in a classroom and do a chalk talk on a whiteboard where you're moving X's and O's. It doesn't quite translate to them, but you get it on their screen in front of them. Unfortunately, those the way we're moving, and we may as well be involved in that.
Yeah, no, you got to relate to the kids at this age. I mean, it's what it is. Just got to. Yeah, no, it's fantastic tool.
All right, mate. Anything? Any wrap up? Anything that we missed, or anything you want to share additionally?
Thanks for having me. It's been great. I'm happy to come on again whenever you want. I'd love sharing kind of what I'm doing, what moving forward. Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
So I'll wrap up this episode with a huge thank you to Ali for his time away from his regular job of planning practices and overseeing coaches and making sure everybody's rowing in the same direction. And a huge thank you, of course, to Tactical Pad. And I really hope you use this time to become familiar with who Ali is and what he does. Give him a follow on Twitter, AF Coach Soccer, and just begin to understand what that really is like for him as a full-time coach, and what he does and what he commits to the game, and what we're all ultimately committing. But that's a story out there for you now, and hear what he goes through and the work that he puts in. So huge thank you to Ali, a huge thank you to you for listening, and more coming very soon.